All right, we're going to go ahead and get started now. So thank you for joining us this morning for our training on educating the community. This is going to be about a 2-hour training. We will have breaks in between, and we will be recording this training so that you can access it later on, whether that means you've missed something or maybe you have to leave early. This will be recorded, and then we will send it out to registered participants later once the training is over. So my name is Lynelle Lujan. I am the Senior Program Specialist here at the TUPE unit at LACO. I oversee the DOJ grant. We also have with us today our other Senior Program Specialist, Derek Reed, who oversees our Tier 2 grant. And then, of course, we have our Program Coordinator, Mark Hernandez, who is waving to you in the camera. He will be here answering your questions in the chat. And so the whole team is here. Thank you for joining us. A little bit about our unit, if you are not familiar. We are dedicated to tobacco use prevention education. Our unit supports schools within the LA County with trainings, materials that you can use on campus with parents and families and students. We collaborate with other districts, help in trainings, help with intervention, and today's training is just one piece of that. Today, we're going to go over a few things. We're going to go step by step in building your presentations when it comes to anti-vaping, anti-tobacco lessons on campus. First, we'll start off with some housekeeping, so some Zoom expectations, the objectives of our training. We'll move into building vaping awareness presentations, which is kind of plotting out, understanding our education partners. What is our presentation going to look like based off of our audience? We will get into some activities that will lead you step by step into building your presentation. And then we will end with some resources. You will walk away with a digital goodie bag to get you started with your presentations, and also some resources that come free of charge out of the TUPE unit. So really quick, some Zoom expectations. Again, this training is about 2 hours long. We will have a break at some point, so don't worry, you'll get a chance to go refill your coffee or go and do what you need to do. The training is also being recorded again, so don't worry about that if you miss anything. The recording will be sent out to registered participants. Please, please, please participate, engage, interact, collaborate, ask the questions that are nagging at you. This is a training, it is not a webinar. So participation and really getting into those discussions are very helpful. With that said, it would be appreciated if you can have your cameras on so that we can engage with each other. I understand we're all at different parts of our jobs, and so sometimes that might not be might not be able to, but if you are, please have your cameras on, especially when you get into your breakout rooms with your group members. It would be very appreciated. Another thing is share outs. Be prepared to share out what you might be speaking about in your groups, or maybe something that you are experiencing sometimes during the presentation. Participation is really going to help all of us kind of learn and grow. And so please feel free to use the chat or unmute yourself when those opportunities come up. And then once again, ask your questions. Ask them in the chat. We have our program coordinator who is managing the chat, and he would be the best person to answer your questions. And so we got the right person for that job. So let's get started. Objective. What is it that we're doing today? The goal is that participants here today will be able to design and implement presentations addressing youth vaping for various different education partners. And that leads us to our first part, understanding education partners. Education partners might be a little bit more, you might be a little bit more familiar with the term stakeholders, right? Education partners, what are we talking about? We're talking about anybody that is involved within that education piece, parents and guardians, students, school staff, community organizations, community members, anybody that is involved with that piece of educating students. So when it comes to building our presentations, we have to understand our audience. And while some of this seems like common sense, we also want to make sure that we are addressing the needs of the audience that we are presenting for. And we need to be careful to inform and not promote. This is especially important with students. We don't want to give a lesson on a how-to. We want to inform or give the needed information that will reduce or deter students and young people from using nicotine, vape devices, and more recently, cannabis, right? Because we know that that's also a problem on our campuses. So who are they, right? You're going to have a different presentation for students than you probably would for parents. Students know what vaping is. Parents might not be familiar with that term, right? So what sort of terminology are you using? Is the terminology appropriate? Do some of the words or terms need to be explained or defined? Depending on your audience, that's going to depend on your audience, right? What is the length of time? Are you giving a 30-minute presentation for students before their math class or in their homeroom? Or is this an hour-long presentation at your next parent night? And with that said, how much information do you want to impart? Why is this relevant or important? Again, is this to students who are just any student on your campus, or is it to a small group of students who recently got caught vaping? Is this to parents who are coming to a parent night, or is this for a parent meeting with the principal? Is this to community members, right? Maybe it's Parks and Recs people. Maybe it's an open booth that you're having at an activity at your school. What attitude will they have towards this topic? Students, right? That's going to be all different. There are going to be some students that are going to be like, I don't need this. There are going to be some students that are just there because they were voluntold to be there, right? Or it might be eager parents who really, really want to know this information because they themselves might think that their students are using vape devices. So with that said, what information are they looking for? Are they looking for a vaping 101? Or are they looking for something specific, like, how do I speak to my student about this? Where do I get them help? Maybe this is students who are needing information on how do I quit? What knowledge do they already have? Again, students are probably going to have more knowledge about vaping than parents. So that prior knowledge is going to matter as well. And what information is going to be important to them to know? Right? Again, where can they find resources? Where can they find help? Or maybe for students, who on their campus or who within their community can they talk to? These are some things that are really, really going to guide the beginning of your presentation. So let's try one out together. Understanding students. When presenting to various education partners, it's important to understand who it is we're talking to. So some guiding questions that we might need to look at are, what information are they looking for? What information is important for them to have? What do I want them to walk away with when this presentation is over? And what will be relevant or important to them? How is this impacting them? How do I make this personal so that it resonates with them? So before we break you out into groups, we're going to do this one together. So go ahead and take this opportunity to either unmute yourself or put in the chat, what would be some of the answers to some of these questions? For instance, what information do they want? What information are they looking for? And remember, in this instance, we're talking about students. So what information might students be looking for? Students want to know the harm? Absolutely. When I first started this work, that was really surprising to me. They want to know what the risks are. Is it really bad for me? That's true. I do a lot of like outreach on campus, and I get a lot of students that are like, so what if I just do it once a day or once a week or once a month? They really want to know, like, how much is this going to harm me? What the health harms and risk factors are? Absolutely. Oh, the health effects from the products. Yeah. I have students asking me, well, what if I don't smoke tobacco? What if it's cannabis? Because it's a plant, and aren't plants healthy? Which I kind of say, well, tobacco's a plant too. So how to quit? Yeah. There are some students who don't really want to admit that they need to know how to quit, but they want to know how to quit. How to say no? Yes, absolutely. Those refusal skills, right? Like, students don't want to tell their friends no, but they also don't want to necessarily vape either, right? So how do they navigate through that? Yes. How can they help their friends and family? I hear a lot of students talking about cousins or uncles or even parents. Healthy alternatives. Yes. What do I do instead? Right. And some of this can kind of go into what information will be important to them, right? It's kind of like some of this they may not want to know, but they need to know, right? How about how will this connect with them? One great one is, yes, parents and friends, right? They do have personal connections if they themselves are not vaping. They definitely want to know how to help their parents and their friends because that's impacting them. These are great answers. Hopefully, our program coordinator is keeping up with our notes. And don't worry, we are taking these notes. You will be able to access them. So thank you. Thank you so much for your participation. These are some great ideas. And they're completely true, right? A lot of these ring true in the sense of when I am at different activities or different things that we've been invited to, students definitely make these concerns or have these questions. And so you guys are right on the dot with that one. So now that we figured out what students need, what they want, and how to connect this to them to make it personal, what you are going to do is you're going to be put into one of 4 groups. And each one of those groups is going to work together to do the same exact thing, but you're going to do it 2 more times, keeping in mind your audience this time is going to be staff and parents. So once again, each group is going to do this 2 more times. And you're going to answer the same questions for parents, if your audience are parents or guardians, and if your audience is going to be staff. What you're going to do is you're going to click on the link that's going to be dropped into the chat in just a little bit, or you can type in the bit.ly address, and that's going to take you to a Google Drive. That Google Drive is going to have at the very top of each slide, group 1, group 2, group 3, or group 4, and they will be color coordinated. So group 1 will always be yellow, group 2 will always be green, group 3 will always be blue, and group 4 will always be red. You're going to take 15 minutes with the breakout room that you're going to be in to answer these questions for those 2 groups, and be ready to share out, because we will come back to the room after that 15 minutes and talk a little bit about what you found was important for staff, what was important for parents, and how those differ, right? How the information you came up with might be different, because talking to staff is going to be different talking to parents. So Mark is going to go ahead and get our breakout rooms ready, and we're going to send you to your breakout rooms for the next 15 minutes. Go ahead and introduce yourselves in your groups, because you will be working with them for the rest of our training today. And good luck. I'll see you in 15 minutes. Welcome back. Hopefully that was enough time for you, but if you got cut off or if you didn't have enough time to finish, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and do share outs. So maybe there are some things that other groups had that you didn't get to explore or didn't think of. So let's take this time to go over some of the aha moments you had, or maybe some of the moments you had where you saw similarities in other slides, because your Google Slides allows you to be able to look at other people's work. So once again, go ahead and take this opportunity to either unmute yourself, or you can type in the chat some things that your group talked about or some things that your group found between your staff as your audience or parents as audience.
One of the last things our group discussed before the breakout ended was the age of reason and the importance of informing parents on what that is and what it means in terms of consequences at school.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. My background is I was a teacher for 10 years. So that really is kind of like that admin part that I probably never would have thought of, right? Sort of those consequences, what happens, what are those consequences in our campus or on our district? And yeah, parents definitely want to know what happens when students get caught and what does that look like? Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Any other aha moments or maybe some things that your group talked about that was pretty important?
We mentioned in our group that parents really they need help on staying up with the latest in I don't want to say greatest, but the next thing that the tobacco companies or the vape companies are pushing out there with respect to devices, what they look like, and how to monitor that with their child.
Absolutely, thanks. Yeah. Um, Parents and sometimes even staff want to know what do the devices look like, because they don't look the same as last year or the year before, or which one is the most popular one. So definitely parents want to know that. Maybe one more. Let's have one more again, either in the chat or you can unmute yourself.
We talked about maybe parents would want to know like how they're accessing it, like where they're getting it from.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the ideas is that students are getting it from friends, right? Family members. But in fact, there was a study that was just done that actually found that 40% of students who took this survey actually said that they were getting them from vape shops and gas stations. And so that survey really kind of opened our eyes to um, while students are getting them from friends or older siblings or older like neighborhood kids, the number of students who are getting them from vape shops are actually larger than we thought. So yeah, that's actually a really great piece of information as well. Thank you everyone for sharing what you guys talked about in your groups. This is going to bring us to our next part, that information, right? Where was that survey that said that 40% of students or young people are actually getting vape devices from vape shops that are not checking age? Where do we find the information of what is the latest or greatest devices on the market right now? Where do we find that content to now build our presentation, given what we decided what the audience wants to know, what they should know, and how we connect it? So of course, there's a lot of things online, right? There are research and data. Some of the two most popular ones might be the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. They specifically have a smoking and tobacco use section that they will keep up to date in terms of, again, surveys, information. Sometimes there's even printable things that you can print from there. Of course, the LA County Department of Public Health also has a section there of tobacco control and prevention program. Again, more information, more links, more resources. This is more of your, again, data, right? Research. There are also nonprofits. We have our Tobacco Free California website. Truth Initiative is a really, really popular one. When it comes to giving information for students or even just information for you, right? When I first started doing this work, I really had to teach myself. And so a lot of what I used was the curriculum that was available out there. Stanford Tobacco Prevention Toolkit is a really, really great one. And we're going to go over that one a little later in our training today. BeVapeFree.org is another curriculum that is sometimes used in school campuses. Both are free to use. And Catch My Vape, another one, or Catch My Breath, another free curriculum that is available. They actually have some really great resources there. Some of them are for elementary school, middle school, high school. They have supplementals, they have videos. There's a lot of great, again, free stuff there as well. And then, of course, your cessation, right? Because we explored a little bit about what do we do for those students who want to know how to quit, or parents who want to know how to help their students quit. For that, we have Kick It California, which was formerly known as California Smokers Helpline. You may have seen this advertised as the No Buts phone number or text number. LA Quits is another really popular one. And then, of course, Truth Initiative acts as both a resource informational website and a cessation program. Some of these have texting options because, of course, students just do better with texting rather than talking to someone. Well, they do have a program where you can call in. For instance, Kick It California has a texting program where students can receive tips on how to quit. And all of the information is exchanged in that way. You also have local resources, LEA support systems like discipline procedures, intervention support. Some schools have wellness centers, counseling, your nurses at school. And then you also have local partnerships, right? Community-based organizations. There's health organizations, counseling services that are available to your school, your district, your community. And also law enforcement, right? Some of our law enforcement departments have like tobacco prevention units. They put on different activities within the community, sometimes at your local parks, and they are a great resource to kind of tap into and partner with as well. So that brings us to exploring some of these online resources. Today, I'm going to walk you through the Stanford Tobacco Prevention Toolkit, which is a theory-based and evidence-informed curriculum. There's resources there for educators, parents, youth. A lot of this has been built by doctors, scientists, educators, community members, and also it has been vetted by students. So students are asked, there's a group of students that are asked to kind of put in their 2 cents, what it is that they liked, what they like to see more of. And then the Tobacco Prevention Toolkit, Stanford will go ahead and add those things and make those adjustments. They have 2 different programs. One is You and Me Together Vape Free, which is exactly what it sounds like. It works on tobacco vaping prevention. And they just came out with their other one. I don't see it there. There it is. It's called Smart Talk. And this is another curriculum that deals specifically with cannabis use, because a lot of schools were telling the Stanford lab that while their vaping curriculum is great, one of their problems is really cannabis. And so Stanford went ahead and made another curriculum that deals specifically with cannabis. And it has lessons on how cannabis specifically changes the brain functions of youth, how it affects their health, and all the differences that maybe you're not seeing with tobacco vaping, but is occurring with cannabis. But we're just going to talk about the cannabis, or I'm sorry, the tobacco vaping curriculum. That curriculum actually comes in elementary, middle, and high school lessons, which is great. The elementary one was just released, so now it kind of covers almost all grade levels. These lessons are connected to state standards and Common Core, so that you can either teach them in your science class, your health class, or even in your homeroom classes. Each lesson comes with learning objectives and a crash course for instructors. So instructors can kind of get familiar with the content before delivering it to students. All of these come in 2 different formats: Canva, which is a new platform that they are using, and PowerPoint. Each one of those is editable. So you can download it. If there are some slides that you feel may not be appropriate for your age group or maybe your group of students, you can delete it, you can add something back in. The whole point of these lessons are to make them specifically yours, to specify them for your audience. While these are targeted towards students, this is still a great resource in 2 ways. One, again, just learning from them, right? Again, when I first started this work, I use these lessons to kind of teach me some of the information, some of the statistics that are listed in there. And you can also take these slides, alter them, and make them appropriate for parents or make them appropriate for staff. And so there's a wide range of things you can do with these lessons. Each lesson comes with talking points. So it's basically a script, right? An instructor can deliver these lessons as is. There's different types of facts, different types of things that you can read off of the talking points and be able to deliver this lesson today, no problem. There's also discussion guides. This kind of asks the students to take what they've learned in these lessons and go and engage with a trusted adult, talk to a parent, talk to their favorite coach, their favorite teacher, maybe somebody at their parks program, somebody that they're close to about these issues and about the lessons that they learned. And each one of these lessons comes with a Kahoot activity. So some sort of assessment, some sort of exit ticket to kind of culminate the lesson together. So let's take a moment to kind of look and see what that looks like. All right. I'm going to ask Mark to give me a thumbs up if you can see the website. Awesome. So this is what you will see when you click on that link that Mark went ahead and dropped into the chat. Here you will find everything that the Stanford lab has to offer. This first one right here is the vape-free curriculum that I just explained. This one right here is the Healthy Futures. This is really an alternative to suspension. This is their intervention program, which we won't get into today, but if you are interested, we are giving a training on Thursday. If you're not registered, that one goes over intervention programs, and we will delve a little bit deeper into the Healthy Futures. We actually have somebody from the Stanford lab who will come and talk about that. We have the smokeless tobacco curriculum, the hookah, and then once again, they do have a cannabis one that's on a completely different website. Again, we're not going to go over that one today, but just know that it exists. And if you need it, it works exactly the same as the vape-free curriculum. So here is the vape-free curriculum. You can see again that there are 3 different levels. You have your elementary lessons, middle school, and high school. The elementary lesson has 2 lessons, and the middle school and high school have 6 lessons. The middle school and high school's lessons are on the same topics, as you can kind of see, but they have been differentiated in order to appeal to either middle school age group or high school grade. What that means is that it will look a little bit different. So the images and the colors will look appropriate for the age, but pretty much the information or the content is going to be very similar, if not exactly the same. If we scroll down a little bit more, here are all the resources available to you concerning these lessons. General information, how to use the Canva ones, warm-up activities that you can use before the actual lessons. Parent letters, maybe you're doing this at a school, at a park, where you have to tell the students that they are, or the students' parents and families, that these are the lessons that we're going to be giving soon. Maybe you need signatures depending on your district. This is just a letter that you can either use as is, or you can edit it to fulfill your needs. Just letting parents know that these discussions are going to be happening within their classrooms. Again, crash course lessons for instructors. Maybe your instructor is the counselor. Maybe it's a mental health intern. And this is not really in their wheelhouse. These crash courses are meant to sort of prepare them prior to having these lessons and discussions with students, learning the content before actually delivering it. And then there are some different languages. These will be updated as those languages are being added to these lessons. Of course, FAQ, the Stanford Lab is really, really great with engaging with just anybody. So if you have questions, even if you had suggestions, they want to know that information, and they're always there to help. Let's take a look at one lesson just to show you a little bit about what it looks like. Here is the page for lesson 1. This is for high school. If you want the middle school one, you can click here. Here is where you will find your learning objectives, right? So if you are the health student or the health teacher or something like that, and you write your objectives on the board, here is where they are, right? This is what the students are supposed to be learning, or what they will be able to do after. And yes, again, all of these resources are absolutely free. That is the whole point, is that this information is free to you, that it is editable, it is there for you to use as best as you see fit. There's key takeaways, which are also already embedded into the lesson. So usually the second to last slide will have key takeaways that students are meant to know by the end of it. And actually the Kahoot activities, which you can see down here, will quiz them on those takeaways. So again, it can be used as an exit ticket. It can be used as a homework assignment, extra credit assignment, but those Kahoots are meant to sort of quiz them on those objectives, on those takeaways, on those things that students should be able to do after this lesson. They will come with an answer key as well. So here are the answer keys for the Kahoots. At the end of each lesson will be the Kahoot link that you can send students to. If you don't want to use Canva, maybe Canva is new to you, and let me show you what the Kahoot looks like. You can press that button there. But again, if Canva is new to you and you don't know how to use that, you feel much more comfortable with PowerPoint, PowerPoint right here will take you to their Google Drive, and they have the PowerPoint version and the PDF version as well. So maybe you just want to print it out and hand it out to students, maybe even hand it out to parents. That is all available for you there. Again, it's all free. And let me see some of the questions. Are there specific grade levels for elementary school to receive? Actually, I believe that when we go to the elementary school, I believe they suggest that this is really just for about 4th and 5th grade. I don't really see these being used for maybe TK kindergarten, but once again, the reason why this is such a great resource is it's downloadable and editable. So if there's something in the slides that maybe is not appropriate for that age group, you can delete that slide. If you want to add something, you can. So you can really use this as like a baseline and edit it to your audience, edit it to your grade level. Right. They're not really designed for specific grades. For instance, middle and high school, that's just what it is. Middle school is for 6th, 7th, 8th, and high school is for 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, the resources are free. Okay, I think those were all the other questions. Let's see. One last thing before we're done here are the standards. Every single lesson page will look like this, right? This one is lesson 3. You still have your learning objectives, your key takeaways, but this little bar right here, I know it's kind of hidden. I wish they'd make it a little bit more seen, but this little bar right here is going to tell you what standards this lesson pertains to. So you can see here that the Stanford Lab has already tied this specific lesson to the California Health Education Content Standards, California Common Core State Standards, and the National Health Education Standards. So you can use these in your classroom. They are backed by the California State Standards. If anybody's asking, they are there. Here's the specific standard that it pertains to. All right, before I leave this page, are there any questions about the Together Vape-Free curriculum, the Stanford Labs programs, anything?
Lynelle, so you know the activity that we just did, like what staff is looking for, what students are looking for. So was the point of that activity was for us to like take that information and then use these presentations, but just tweak them as we want to, because they are editable, right?
Absolutely, yes. And when I kind of put some of my presentations together, I kind of do that. Stanford, before they came out with this, these lessons, they had another set of lessons, and they were not as colorful and not as engaging, but very informative, just like these. And I would use it as a baseline. So I would take those slides, and if I was making that presentation for, say, students, I take some things out, put some things in, maybe even change the wording, right? The wording might be appropriate for 6th grade, but not appropriate for 12th grade. I would add things in, and I would do the same thing if I was making a presentation for staff, right? Again, staff may need to know how the devices are being used, but not students. I'm not teaching students how to use vapes, right? I'm teaching students how they are a health risk. So definitely, I would take these presentations and alter them to fit my audience, but in its second use, I would also use these to teach myself the content. Some of these, you know, I don't have asthma. I don't know how this affects people with asthma, but there's a slide in there that talks about how it affects your lungs and how it affects people with asthma or COVID. And so some of these I used as a learning resource as well. And yes, they are editable in both formats. So you can either make a copy of the Canva format, or you can make a copy of the PowerPoint format, and you can edit both of those. Other questions?
Lynelle, quick question. When people do download them into PowerPoint, they will have to make some adjustments, or do they automatically just work?
When you download them as PowerPoint, they should automatically work. Now, if you decide to convert this into a Google slide, you can drop a PowerPoint into your Google Drive and convert it into a Google slide. However, you will have to make adjustments because it does not really translate the animations or maybe even some of the pictures. And for some of you, you might be more familiar with Google Slides. I love Google Slides. And so sometimes I will convert them to Google Slides, but that also means I now need to sit there and make sure that all of the formatting is correct. All of the animations are correct. And if you're like me, you could take the time to do that. But if not, you can just give the PowerPoint as is. And the PowerPoint, the ones that you find in the Google Drive here, are usable as is. You don't have to change anything in terms of formatting or animation.
Lynelle, if I can
Mhm.
add to that, because we've actually used like the cannabis ones, right? And
Uh-huh.
so see how the ones in the Google, they're in PDF. So none of the links or videos work on it as a PDF. So then,
That's
like you say, you have
correct.
to do additional work. So you have to like
Yes.
get the link, find the videos, link them over into the image. So there's just a lot that goes into it. So then in the end, we just decided like it's just best to link up to the Canva, because yeah, you have all those animations and you don't have to worry about finding videos and doing links. Like it's already done for you. I mean, unless you're
Yes.
looking to edit it like a lot,
Mhm.
but it was just kind of like, why invest all that time when it's already created? But we do have
Right.
like in those Canva professional what is it, accounts, they're free anyway. So you just create one for yourself and then you have access to all these slides and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, you're right. When it's the PDFs, that's completely different, right? It's a PDF version. Some of the links, obviously the videos don't work because a PDF is not animated. But yes, that brings me to the next thing you brought up. So thank you for that. Right here, it will tell you how to use Canva, and it will also tell you how to get a free account if you don't have one. So if you take a look right here, they actually send you the link to get a free educator's Canva account if you don't have one. Um, these lessons were originally built on Canva and then converted to PowerPoint and converted to PDF. So if you really want to get the full function of it, Canva is the best way to go. Again, I know that there are some people that may not be familiar with Canva. They don't feel comfortable. I think that's why Stanford gives you the PowerPoint options. But if you do have Canva and you're fairly okay with using it, I would suggest using the Canva format. Oh, great. They really like it. Awesome. I'll have to let Stanford know. I was part of the group that was helping give some feedback and some notes on these lessons. So that's really, really great to hear that your teachers are really liking the lessons, because it really is different from the lessons that they had before. So yes, thank you for sharing that. All right. So this is just one resource. This is literally one out of many that you can use. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to have you go and explore others. So you know how to use the Stanford Toolkit. You know where to find it. We've already walked through some of the things that are offered there. But next, you are going to go back into your groups and you are going to be assigned another resource. Group 1 is going to look at the Tobacco Free California website. Group 2 is going to look at the Truth Initiative. Group 3 is going to look at Kick It California. And Group 4 is going to look at the CDC and prevention website. In that website, you are going to briefly describe what you're seeing in the website. Is this something that's just straight facts, straight data, straight surveys? Is the website you're looking at a prevention program? Is the website you're looking at a curriculum program? What is the website that you've been assigned? Who is the intended user? Who do you think this website was built for? And what might be useful to share with students, staff, or parents that you found on the website? Those 3 questions will be on the left-hand side of the Google Doc. Remember, Group 1 is yellow, Group 2 is green, Group 3 is blue, and Group 4 is red. You will get another 15 minutes, but also, again, remember, when we come back, we're looking for share out. So be prepared to share what you found. Maybe pick somebody in your group who's going to be a representative for you. And if Mark is ready, we can go ahead and send you back into your groups. You're going to still use that same Google slide that you used earlier. All right, well, welcome back. Again, I'm sorry if we had to cut off some of your conversations. I know that some of them are probably, you're like real deep into it. And, you know, we're looking at all of the things that you're typing into your Google Slides, and that's great. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to ask one person from each group to just briefly share what your website was about. We're kind of doing our little, you know, puzzle activity or jigsaw puzzle. And so you may have gotten a really great website and was only able to look at that website, right? But there are 3 others that other groups are working on. So real quick, I'm just going to pick each group to briefly talk about what was your website about, what was, you know, what was, just briefly describe it pretty much. So let's go with group number 1. If a representative wants to go ahead and share what your website was about.
Okay, hey, good morning. I think my
Thank
group
you.
members had some other duties that they had to quickly take care of.
Got it.
Our website was the turned out to be the California. Oh, let me see. I'm so new to this, guys. I'm so sorry. It turned out that it was the undo.org.
Okay.
And that particular website shares a lot of the California laws. And so you can go there for information regarding the sales of the law regarding sales of tobacco. And I've got my notes here open, kind of the history behind California's new flavored tobacco laws and how that came into effect. Also, how some of the laws criminalize people who use the tobacco. So it's a great website, and it has a lot of statistics and reviews where you can find that information.
Great. Thank you so much.
you.
Yes. So that website would be really great to know, right? Maybe for parents and maybe for staff, maybe for SROs, maybe for our public health, public safety, right? What are these laws? What do they look like? Especially
Yes.
since California just passed Prop 31, I believe it was, of the flavor ban, right? And so what does that law look like? How is that going to affect our students? How is that going to affect our youth? That's important information, right?
Absolutely. So initially it was Tobacco Free California. However, it goes right into the undo.org, which gives the California laws.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, a lot of these websites have changed. Again, I think it was the No Smokers website is now Kick It California, and so they kind of change over time. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Group number 2, a volunteer from that group, to give us just a brief description of your website.
So our website was a truth initiative, and it was really just that. It was the truth about drugs and vaping, and they had a lot of different resources that led to more resources that led to more resources. So there's a lot in there, but we did feel that it was intended for all users. All users could use this website, and particularly helpful are the real life stories. And then what's also helpful was the informational articles that are current, because as we're talking about how do we support students, we're finding that we don't know any of this information. So those articles are important.
Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, there's so much there, and sometimes it's like resources overload, but at least at some point when you know you need resources, you know where to find them. All right, group number 3, a volunteer from group number 3. Tell us a little bit about your website.
Yeah, I can go ahead for group 3.
Thank you.
We had a Kick It California, and basically for a description for the website, Kick It California, it's a website that contains numerous resources to help users of numerous tobacco products like smokeless tobacco, just cigarettes and vaping. Numerous resources for people to help them quit for those things, such as coaching. They have quit coaching programs, personal quit plans, texting resources, etc. And the intended users, really it's anybody for California, no matter what their age is, if they're a user or not. The website even offers a tab labeled, help others quit, where you can see how to help your friends, family quit. And also, I really like how it has, different languages offered from English, Spanish speakers, and even has a link for Mandarin and Asian language speakers. It has a hotline link for those people too, which is great. For some useful stuff that we would share with students, I would definitely share the texting resources, mobile apps, how those resources can be used for helping friends quit, because kids really like technology nowadays. That's like a huge thing to connect with kids, like texting in the mobile apps. For parents, we thought that the resources throughout the whole website can be very beneficial for parents to learn what's available for their youth. Assistance with quitting. It also has informative facts about what happens when one quits. Like if you select quit vaping, it explains to you, okay, after your last vape forever, this is what your body starts to do, and it actually starts to get better, which is great. Also, parents can also see how like one of the quit call, like a quitting call works, or the quit coaching call works. They have a sample for that. Last but not least, for staff, the website itself, the website would be very useful for staff to provide to parents of somebody, let's say a student who's caught on campus with one of these products. You can recommend it. Also the materials, free materials, posters, informative brochures, those would be great resources for staff. You can put it up around the school in classrooms, stuff like that. But let kids see, like, oh wow, this is what it does to me, stuff like that. So overall, very, very awesome website.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, KK California is one of my favorites because it really does offer everything for everyone. So yeah, a really great resource. All right, last but not least, group number 4. Briefly share what your website's about. Any volunteer would be appreciated.
Yeah, our site was the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We found it to have a lot of resources, and it's more focused for parents and especially educators. We found that you can take a lot of the information that's on this website, use it to create slide decks, use it for parent webinars. There are some great sections on telling what the products are and how they're used. But also has the data and statistics in there as well. So you can take a lot of those numbers and use them for whatever presentation you want to make, and kind of solidify a lot of the ideas for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Very, very informative and concise. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, and if I missed anything, Melinda or Josie, if there's anything I missed, please.
No,
No,
I think you covered it.
I think you covered it. Tons and tons of information. Just would take a little bit of time to kind of call out what would be relevant and significant depending on audience.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. So you can kind of see that there's a lot of resources out there. Those were just 4 that you've explored. And again, you have access to that Google slide that you can come back to later. So feel free to just kind of bookmark that. You can see what other people have written in their groups about their website, so that you can always come back to it and really, build out your presentations again when you have time, right? Because there are so many resources out there to really go through. And some of them work well for others, right? There are some websites that would work well for students, staff, and parents. And then there's some that really is just maybe works better for parents and staff. So really being able to go through those resources, go through the information, and really kind of pull out what you need and what you don't, right? Great. Thank you so much for participating. So that's going to bring us to a real quick break. I'm going to give you about 1 to 2 minutes. You can go ahead and turn off your cameras, stretch, get yourself some water. And when we come back, we're going to finish this part of the design piece, throw some free resources at you, get you back out into your campuses and into your community. So go ahead and take about 1 to 2 minutes. We'll call you back in a bit. Let's see, it's 11 o'clock exactly. So we'll see you back, let's say at 11:02. All right. I know that was a really, really short break, but we are in the home stretch now. We are going to take everything that we learned, knowing our audience, what information is important to our different types of audiences, what is going to resonate with them, what's going to connect with them, and then where we find that information, what websites are best for students, staff, parents, and even ourselves, right? Learning that content, knowing the information before presenting it. Now we're going to take all that information and put it together in an actual presentation. So, designing our presentation while keeping in mind our audience, right? Some things that we need to keep in mind besides our audience, right? So who are our education partners? Oops, something's happening here. There we go. This can be our LEA staff. This can mean our parents. This can mean our students. Who's in attendance? But we also have to think about the setting. Is this a class? Are we giving lessons to students to gain, extra credit? Are they in this presentation or in this quote unquote class because they were caught vaping? Or is this an open presentation to all students on campus? This is just great information for everyone to know. Is it a small group? Is it in the classroom? Is it in the auditorium and it's given at grade levels? Is this a meeting, right? Is this at our next staff meeting that we have once a month? Is this at our trainings, a workshop maybe that we're offering for anybody and everybody to attend? Is this at our coffee with the principal? Is this back to school night? Is it a booth? Are we having a booth that's open on campus because we invited the community to come and see our school? What is the setting? Then, what's the time length? Or I'm sorry, the purpose. Are we informing parents, right? Here is what our school does. Here's our discipline matrix. Here's how we support your student. Is this to educate? Is this to tell students, here are the health risks? Here are some healthy ways to cope with anxiety that doesn't involve vaping. Is it to influence, right? What is the purpose? What are we presenting this for? The setting is really going to help dictate that, right? What are my engagement tools? Are we using storytelling, right? A little known fact, prior to this work, I was a history teacher for 10 years. And I remember in my credentialing program, they said that there's many different types of teachers. There's storytellers. There's those scientific approach teachers that just straight facts, straight surveys, straight textbook, And so what kind of engagement tool is this? Is this a storytelling? Do you have visual aids? Do you not have access to a PowerPoint or a projector? Do you have pictures, infographics, maybe videos? There's lots of videos that Kick It California offers, that Undo offers. Even the Stanford Toolkit has a lot of short videos that you can show. And what's the time length? Is it one event? Is it a series of events? Maybe your students are getting all 6 of the Canva lessons in their health class or their homeroom or their PE class or all of their English classes. Do you have 30 minutes or do you have 90 minutes? All of these things are really, really going to dictate how you present your information, what you present. Is it just the main facts or do you go in depth, right? So aside from your audience, These are things to take into account as well. And that brings us to your last activity for the day. In your group, you're going to start planning to design your PowerPoint or your presentation. In the Google Slides, once again, they are all color coded. What you are going to do is your group is going to plan this presentation. You are going to decide this make up pretend presentation, or maybe you actually have a parent night coming up this week and you really want to start on it now. Your group can decide, all right, we're going to do a parent presentation, right? So you'll go ahead and highlight that part of the slide of your Google Slides. What's the purpose? Are you there to inform, educate, or influence? Highlight what your group has decided. Then the setting. Is this going to be a class? Is it going to be a meeting? Is it going to be a workshop? Your group will highlight which one. And then what is the time length? From there, once you've decided what kind of presentation this is going to be, you are going to then use the following graphic organizer to fill out the information. What questions will you address from activity 1? So if you decided to do a parent presentation, what did you guys fill out for the parent slide at the beginning of this training today? And what source or information from activity number 2, so the content one, will you use in building? Are you going to use the website that you were assigned? Or maybe you're going to use a different website that some other group did because you felt that it fit better. You're going to get another 15 minutes to start to design and plan out this presentation. You're going to use those Google Slides again. And once again, be prepared to just quickly share out what you did when we come back. Mark, you can go ahead and send everybody to breakout rooms. I'll see you in 15 minutes. All right, welcome back. Once again, I apologize if you were deep into conversation. I know that sometimes once you get the ball rolling, you can really get into this, but we've got to move forward. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, maybe you have a presentation coming up and now you've already started to prepare for that. But the next thing that we're going to talk about is all of the stuff that I have for you to sort of complete this process. So resources and services from our unit. As promised, we have a Google Drive presentation folder. Oh, I hear an echo, sorry. There is a Google Slide presentation, a Google Drive presentations folder that is available to you out of our office. In this folder, you will actually get PowerPoints from our office that we sort of, again, use as a foundation to build our presentations. There is a PowerPoint format for students, one for staff, one for parents. And if you are not using, again, like the Stanford Toolkit ones, we have some available for you. Hopefully you can see them on my screen. The folder looks like this. It's called Vaping Awareness Resources. There's a folder there for parent sheets. Maybe you're giving a parent presentation and you want some literature to pass out with that. In this folder, there are some flyers, some fact cards, even a vaping lingo dictionary, different flyers on what to do if you discover your student is using. Maybe this is better. What to do, how to talk to your students about vaping, information cards. This one right here is a parent presentation links that we use. So it links to some of our resources. These are all available for you to give to your parents and your families at your next parent presentation. In this folder, you also have presentations. So again, there are PowerPoint and Google Slides formats of these different types of presentations. There is even one in here that has been translated in Spanish. So maybe you need a Spanish version. These are all editable as well. So you can make a copy of these and you can edit them to fit your needs. For instance, this one right here is a parent presentation. And we keep these updated. So you can kind of see here, this is the latest information and data from the National Youth Tobacco Survey from 2022. The survey usually comes out in around October-ish. And so this slide is something that you can either use as is, or you can fix it to, again, to fit your needs. In this folder, you also have other things to help you build your presentation. Right here, this folder is a folder of pictures. Maybe you want to add some pictures, some infographics, some different, what are they called? Like diagrams. There you go. I was going to say designs, diagrams into your presentation. These are all here for you to use, not use. They're all available for you to drop into your PowerPoints. We also have videos. Do you want to show videos about e-cigarettes that explode? Maybe you want to talk about the health risks of vaping. All of these are available for you to, again, use and drop into your presentations. Articles and infographics. It is just a starter kit. Think of it that way. So that can be found at this bit.ly here. Mark has already dropped that into the chat. We also have a Canvas course resource available for you. 3 important things on this course. There are recordings and PowerPoints of past presentations and trainings. This training today will be uploaded there for you to access later. There's also a catalog there where you can order different resources from our office, posters, pamphlets, fact cards to pass out to students, family members, community members. And there is also a calendar there to show you any upcoming trainings that we have out of our office, like the one that we have going on today, and we have one tomorrow and one on Thursday. That can be found, that link can be found in the chat. And just to know our services, we provide training, technical assistance. If you are having things at your school, you can call us and ask questions. We'll come out and give staff presentations. We can give parent presentations. We can help you with your presentations. We also have our websites, our LA County Tobacco Prevention websites available. And last but not least, we have a survey. Our surveys help us to provide you with the information that you're looking for to improve. And also in that survey, you also have an option to ask for a care package. So this will give you a little bit of what we offer out of our office. Give us your address, we will send it out to you. You also have an option to opt out if you've already received one of ours and you're good. But we really appreciate you being here today. We'd really appreciate you taking 2 minutes to take that survey. Thank you so much. I hope that the rest of the day is a good one for you. I'm going to stay on to see if there's any questions, but thank you all. Have a great day.